Yo, what it do, YouTube? Welcome back to top 10 scariest Bonnie theories. I want to go one by one. I'm trying to get these reactions out before I start hopping into hardcore gameplay, because once I hop in, it's gonna be a lot of gameplay.
And at 10, Focus. The game may be called Five Nights at Freddy's, but in reality, is the game about Bonnie? Now this comes from the fact that Scott, while playtesting the game, was actually most scared of Bonnie, since he ended up having nightmares about the character. I mean, this is no secret. Freddy was also originally not going to move from the center stage, only scaring the player if they ran out of power. So the only animatronics you'd really have to deal with would have been Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and Golden Freddy. And every character other than Bonnie has some form of area or mechanic that makes them invisible, at least for a time. Chica can go into the kitchen, Foxy doesn't come out unless you forget to check on him, and Golden Freddy is a rare occurrence, and that only really happens towards the other nights. So the only real consistency is Bonnie. And if Scott considered Bonnie the scariest animatronic and wanted the game to be scary, it would make sense if Bonnie ended up becoming the main focus. And at 9, Freddy lookalike. There are some FNAF community members who have seemed to think that Bonnie looks awfully similar to Freddy, and it's something I picked up on as well during my analysis of the FNAF 3 bad ending, linked to that up in the top right corner. Their facial structure is relatively similar, especially when compared to Chica or Foxy, so why could this be? Well, it comes from FNAF 2. The withered animatronics are meant to be the original ones, however, Bonnie is missing their face. It's believed that when FNAF 2 ends and the toy animatronics are scrapped, that they repair the originals, which is true. But since Bonnie is missing his face, they use a Freddy face as a form of template to recreate the original Bonnie. So that's why Bonnie may have some features that looks the same or has an essence of Freddy. I mean, it could absolutely be what happened, given that the toy version of Bonnie is so different from the original, but I mean, it's probably just similar because it's a video game model, or because, you know, they were made by the same guy. That would also make a lot of sense. And at 8, Funtime Bonnie. When Sister Location came along and the Funtime animatronics were introduced, we had a lot to say about some of our missing lineup.
Funtime Bonnie? I didn't even know there was a Funtime, bro. I'm missing so much. I didn't know there was a Funtime Bonnie at all.
Chica. But while there was no Funtime Bonnie per se, we did get a hand puppet version of Bonnie called Bon Don. But who are we kidding? That's not good enough. But luckily the source code of Scott's website, scottgames.com, came in clutch and provided us with a potential explanation as to where our furry little wouldn't be furry in this context friend had gone. He was rented out. In the source code, theorists found the phrase Chica's Party World in a slightly abbreviated form, which led us to the conclusion that Funtime Chica had been rented out to her own themed restaurant called Chica's Party World, and this caused us to draw similar conclusions for Bonnie, perhaps not being rented out to a specific restaurant or location, but possibly for a birthday or some other event. While we didn't see them mentioned, it's still nice to think that Bonnie was still alive. That or William just didn't have enough combined remnant metal to make another animatronic.
Number 7, surprise, Bonnie. Another theory is that Bonnie isn't actually left out of the game at all, it's just that they were simply not in the trailer. Instead of Bonnie being a character that we'll never see, they are simply a character who hasn't shown up yet but will eventually. Instead of Bonnie being a featured character, that might be an Easter egg or some kind of animatronic surprise that is waiting around the corner to meet us. Anyone see that bowling alley? That could be all the Bonnie we get, honestly. Although it is important to note, just because we haven't seen neither tail nor ears of Bonnie as an animatronic doesn't mean they aren't just lurking somewhere in the game behind the scenes. Perhaps they aren't in the main band, but instead are relegated to their own super secret attraction, or perhaps they're just chilling at the bowling alley, and we just haven't seen them yet.
And at 6, Chocolate Bonnie. Chocolate Bonnie is certainly one of the more interesting animatronics added by the AR game Special Delivery. It's funny, because I made a whole list about animatronics that would taste good, and this was just a gimme. But why is this a thing? Like, sure, it was for Valentine's Day or Easter or whatever, but like, what is the in-universe reason for these animatronics? Like, Chocolate Bonnie literally has a whole chunk taken out of him, and has candy buttons and sprinkles like those cosmic brownies. Like, what compelled the Fazbear Entertainment Company in-universe to create an animatronic out of chocolate? Like, even the endoskeleton is chocolate. I feel like this was like a joke pitch from someone that like they gave at a meeting to try to illustrate how ridiculous they would go, and someone took it seriously. Like when I jokingly suggested top 10 scary old town roads, and they actually made it on Most Amazing Top 10. I think that was me. I know I made some ridiculous suggestion that I thought that they would take as a joke, and then they actually made it. And that's like the most ridiculous video that I can think of off the top of my head. So I feel like that was me. I feel like that's it. But it's been so long that I've forgotten. I feel like Liam was like, oh yeah, Lil Nas X. And I was like, said no. Halfway through in at number 5, leader. Sure, the place is called Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, but is Freddy the actual leader of the group? Sure, he's the one who's front and center and singing all the kids' favorite tunes, but he hardly does anything in the game. And he was originally going to do even less, only sticking around on the stage and scaring you if you ran out of power. And he was also hardly in the trailer for the first game. The trailer really featured Bonnie more, and honestly, so do the games. Bonnie's the first animatronic to typically make a move towards you on each night. And Bonnie has quite a few versions as well, with 22 different versions in his own right, including the FNAF AR Springtrap and Glitchtrap skins. And Bonnie is the other animatronic that got introduced with a shadow version in FNAF 2. So is this giant bunny more than meets the eye? Is this like a puppet master scenario where Bonnie is manipulating Freddy to get what he wants? I mean, like the main killer does use a Bonnie suit after all. In at 4, Nightmare Bonnie.
Yo, hold up, time out. That just clicked. He uses a Bonnie suit after all. William, okay,
the
yeah,
main killer does use a Bonnie suit after all.
That clicked.
In at 4, Nightmare Bonnie. The Nightmare animatronics are the center of quite a few theories, thanks to the confusion FNAF 4 caused in the community. However, while we...
I don't know, bro. I thought about playing FNAF 4. I don't know. I have it. I don't know, bro. Maybe for stream. If we hit 5K, I'll do it on stream. Definitely. Do it on stream.
Could discuss why the animatronics have stomach mouths or why
it'll be
they're
a
all
5K
torn
stream.
up. Since the stomach mouths are most likely because of Elizabeth getting scooped and being torn just makes them look scarier, I wanted to ask why Nightmare Bonnie looks the most tame out of all the Nightmare animatronics. Like, seriously, when I look at them, I find Bonnie to be the least scary. The others have at least one thing that really sets them apart usually, especially Nightmare, but Nightmare Bonnie seems the most generic, and I have a theory as to why. When talking about Bonnie, it's impossible not to mention how he gave Scott nightmares while testing the first game, like I said earlier. In a way, this version of Bonnie is how Scott always saw him, but I believe in an effort to make the Nightmare Bonnie less horrifying for him, he made the most basic Nightmare animatronic that he could, so he could still play test the game without having nightmares again. Or because he made Nightmare Bonnie first and then added stuff to the other ones to make them more unique, or make them different, aside from the fact that they're all different animatronics. You get what I mean.
Number 3, Bonnie becomes Glitchtrap. We've all focused on the fact that Glitchtrap is looking for a human host just based on what seems to be implied with him needing or wanting Gregory for some yet unknown purpose. A lot of people assume that Glitchtrap will try to possess Gregory and use him as a host, but does this really make sense? After all, if you're going to take over anyone as an adult, would you really choose to become a child? I mean, being a child was cool and all, but children aren't really able to do as much as adults are because they don't have permission from either their parents or the government. There would be a lot that you couldn't do simply because you just weren't old enough yet, or even because you might not physically be capable of that yet. So why would Glitchtrap want Gregory for this purpose? It's more likely to me that Bonnie is actually the intended host, and Glitchtrap plans or perhaps has already moved into an animatronic and taken hold of it. The fact that Bonnie isn't seen in the trailer could mean that Bonnie is the one who will show up as the new main antagonist, fully possessed by Glitchtrap. And we'll get a big reveal of this, which is why Bonnie doesn't show up, so as not to ruin that big reveal.
And ultimately in at number 2, more Shadow.
Now that's a thing. It's possible. I feel like Bonnie could definitely become like the main protagonist. Like out of all the animatronics, like let's see, Chica's never really gotten any shine. Foxy, I mean you know Foxy's gonna mess you up regardless. So Foxy gets respect. Like regardless, Foxy gets respect. But yeah, Freddy, I don't see him do, like, I play a lot of fan games, the regular original FNAF games, and it's like Freddy don't do a whole lot, honestly. I feel like every time I play any FNAF game, Bonnie's literally right there at the door. Like go back on any playthrough, Bonnie's like right at the door every time, the first one. Like when we played the free roam, Fazbear Nights, he was right there. He was the first one getting off the stage every time. Every time.
Now, I've discussed Shadow Bonnie earlier on this list, giving ideas as to how he ended up being created, but there's actually a theory that there are two Shadow Bonnies. The ones we see in the games, like FNAF AR and FNAF 2, but also the ones we see in the mini-games of FNAF 3, since the one in the mini-games appears to be more like the Yellow Spring Bonnie suit that we can also see in those mini-games. Whereas the previous Shadow Bonnie is very much based on Toy Bonnie, which only goes to further add to the whole Springlock victim theory, since FNAF 3, where this minigame version appears, is heavily focused on Springtrap and the spring locking that caused him to become Springtrap in the first place. Then again, this theory wasn't really prominent until the release of FNAF 3, when we learned of an unfortunate incident at the sister location involving multiple and simultaneous Springlock failures, so yeah. But it's still a theory. A Shadow Animatronics theory. Thanks for watching. But don't leave, I still have number one. Finally, in at number one, Jeremy. This is all but...
Who is Jeremy? I'm missing too much.
Confirmed at this point, being considered canon by many, and by many I mean basically everyone. However, it's still technically a theory until Scott actually 100% confirms it. So, who is the one possessing Bonnie? Most assume it to be a kid named Jeremy. Why, you ask? Well, thanks to FNAF 3 and FNAF 6. FNAF 3's endings feature the heads of the original 4 or 5 animatronics, laying on the ground with lights either on or off. I mean, like...
Hold on. Gabriel, Fritz, Susie, Jeremy, and who's the other one? Oh, and they blocked out the other one.
Animatronics laying on the ground with lights either on or off. I mean, like, those are really the only two options. However, the placement of the heads is something to take note of, since in the FNAF 6 Lorekeeper ending featuring the gravestone picture, it also has a similar placement to the heads, with one remaining mysterious and away from the others, this one being Cassidy's grave behind the grass, relating to Golden Freddy's head in the back of the FNAF 3 Bad ending. The other graves go as follows: Gabriel, Fritz, Susie, and Jeremy, and the animatronic heads go Freddy, Foxy, Chica, and Bonnie, which kind of annoys me, since the most common way I've heard the animatronics listed off is Freddy, Foxy, Bonnie, Chica. I mean, like, it's just like a slight OCD moment, because it just sounds right, you know? Like, it's long, then short, then long, then short, and then the B and C's are in proper order, but the F's are more abundant, and that's why they're at the front. Okay, I'll stop talking now. And it's 10, Springtrap. It seems...
What? There's more? Did we not just do... Hold on, did we not do 10? I thought we did 10. What? Yeah, we're gonna have to stop it right there. I thought we did 10, bro. I was set on doing 10. I didn't know there was gonna be like 30 of them. He lied to me. If you want to see part 2, we can continue from here. I appreciate you guys for watching. I know a lot of you really like these. Make sure you drop a like on the video. Helps me out a lot. Helps you to keep seeing the content. If you really enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.